All right, we are back here on the podcast, second episode of the week. We are talking pop culture with our resident movie critic, the great John Stanko. It's been a while since you've been on here, John, but I'm glad to talk to you again.
Mike, it's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Thanks for having me.
Yes, everything's going good here. My football team stinks. My baseball team made the playoffs, but other than that, I'm healthy. That's important.
I mean, you expected the football team to stink. Let's be real.
Yes, I did. I did not expect them to be this bad, but I expected them to be terrible.
No, I didn't expect them to be the bottom feeder in the NFL. But, I mean, listen, you're keeping your head coach. You love that consistency, right? You love that.
He's getting me to Trevor Lawrence. That's what's going to end up happening out of this.
Trevor Lawrence is going to stay another year at Clemson.
I don't think so. I think he knows he's getting that big contract, and he knows that Adam Gase will be gone. Yeah,
I mean, that's probably the most surefire thing at this point, whether it be now only during the season or whether it be after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, that was so funny. I was looking on Twitter the other day. I forget who said it first. Dan Orlovsky mentioned it today. We're recording on Football Sunday after the end of the 4 o'clock games, which John's Patriots are not playing in. As of recording, they're playing tomorrow. We'll see if that actually does happen. But he pointed out on Twitter, he's like, what is worse, the Jets refusing to run motion on their offense or the Lions only playing man when they can't cover?
Listen, you combine Matt Patricia and Adam Gase, maybe you have a solid head coach. But right now, they're probably the two top leaders for coaches to get let go in the NFL.
I would say Dan Quinn and Bill O'Brien are up there too, but I'd say Adam Gase and Patricia are the front runners.
I don't think I know everyone wants to fire Dan Quinn, but the thing is, like, his teams are in the games. They're not like embarrassing themselves to the fact that they're not even competitive. It's like it's the little things with him. Now I get it that eventually you need to cut the tie, but I wouldn't put him in terms of being a worse head coach than Matt Patricia or Adam Gase at this point.
No, Adam Gase is 32, Matt Patricia is 31, depending on what order you want to put them in.
Yes, I would agree. And Bill O'Brien, I mean, I think you fire him as a GM, but I think as a football coach he's okay. But every move he's made in terms of a GM and trying to situate his team for a winning run hasn't worked.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien, good regular season coach, bad playoff coach.
That's accurate.
Yeah. I mean, all we have to do is look back at that Chief game last year when they went for the fake punt on 4th and 2, and then they all collapsed after that.
How often does a fake punt really work in terms of the team of a favor?
I don't know if the fake punt ever works. I remember the last Jet playoff win against your Patriots. Bill Belichick ran one inside his own 28. It turned the momentum of the whole game.
I mean, it's very well true. And I believe, if I recall, the Cowboys did it earlier this year. They ran 2 in one game.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy's not very popular down there.
No, and he didn't get either.
No, he did not. But enough with the football talk here. It's also getting me depressed knowing that there's good teams going out there and mine isn't them. So let's go to the movies for a little bit. And I have to ask you, as the movie guy, the movie theaters are struggling. Have you actually gone into a theater since they've reopened? Because I know you live in Connecticut now.
No, I haven't, Mike, because there's still no theaters near me that are open. Literally, the furthest drive I have to a movie theater is like an hour. And I can't dedicate a whole entire day to going to see a movie and then driving back. And I'll be honest, I don't necessarily trust going to the movie theater at this point. But if I'm going to a movie theater, I'm going to eat popcorn, I'm going to eat snacks, my mask's going to be off, and other people's are too. So, no, I haven't, and I filled the void by watching a lot of HBO Max and filling up some new TV shows that I got started with. So, I haven't been back. I really want to, but I don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm right there with you in terms of, obviously I'm in New York, and they're still not open here, but, I could drive to Connecticut if I wanted to. The thing is, it's sort of like with the football games, and they had the fans there, sure, you can make a mask requirement to wear a mask and you can walk inside it, but, how do I know that the people around you not actually keep their masks on in the theater? Nobody can actually, keep an eye on them.
No, they can't. And, I mean, the only movie in theaters that was released that I want to see is Tenet. And I think we're going to talk about Tenet in a bit, but I don't think it was the knockout success that no one and that the movie industry wanted in terms of driving people and word of mouth to get into a movie theater. So, besides that, I really had no desire to go to the box office either.
Yeah, because there really is, nothing out there. I mean, Tenet came out. We might as well go there first, because Tenet came out. Christopher Nolan was big. It's got to be in the theaters. You have to watch it in the theaters. It's the big theater experience. They had this whole thing where they refused to let it go to drive-ins in states where theaters are not open. So, and it started out pretty good. I mean, it got $20 million the first weekend. You're like, okay, this might be going, but it's done pretty much nothing since. And I don't know if it's something about the movie or if it's just the state of the country with the fear of the COVID. What do you think about the fact that Tenet has done so badly here in the box office, where overseas has done pretty well?
I think it's a combination of things. I think based off the reviews I've read and seen, and the word of mouth I've heard, is that Tenet is good. It's not great. It's not one of Nolan's upper echelon movies, so there's not the rush to go there. I also think it's tough for word of mouth to spread when not as many faces are in front of the movie that's on the screen. Like, and part of like the success of Nolan movies is talking about the big twist and talking about how it looks, and like the Batman, talking about the Joker when it happened. It was that word of mouth that really generated people to go to the movie theater. But without as many people in the theaters themselves, you don't have many reliable people that you can trust that you need to go see this in theaters.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, like, you look at what happened there. I think I also read an article online today. I forget the source of it, but they made a good point. They're like, you know, when you go to a movie, you really want to be like entertained, have fun. And like, this is also a very, very deep time travel-y movie. And like, that's a lot of like mind power you're putting in there. And your mind is sort of already like, am I safe in here? Am I not going to get coronavirus just by showing up in the movie theater? You're not really in the mood for a deep Christopher Nolan mind thriller.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I mean, if you want to shut your brain off, it's not necessarily the movie to do that. No Christopher Nolan movie is ever that way. Now, with that being said, I wish there were more movies made where it actually made you engage your brain, and Nolan is one of those directors. And if I was near a theater to go see it, I would. If I could buy out the theater, maybe I would do that. But I'm not surprised it's trouble at the box office. I think movie theaters are really in trouble, and I think as much as Christopher Nolan wants to be a tenant or a tent pole for the traditional movie theater business, his latest motion picture wasn't able to get it done.
Yeah, it definitely was. And Mulan also skipped the movie theaters entirely in the U.S. They went to Disney Plus. They think they're there until November, then they have a month off, and they go on the service. And then there, I think from what I've heard, they've done okay, but it's bombed overseas, and that can't be good either.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of controversy here when it started coming out, and let's be honest, Disney needed this movie to be a hit in China, right? It needed it to be in order for it to get its money back, especially without movie theaters being open in the U.S. And there was a ton of controversy around this movie in terms of where it was being filmed. There were scenes filmed where in areas of Beijing, I believe, where widespread rights abuses to Muslims in the population were documented, but China allowed them to film there anyway, and Disney took it. You had the star of the movie speaking on behalf of the government and against the democracy protests in Hong Kong. So you had the Chinese population that's kind of revolting against the government, who doesn't like the government, didn't like the publicity around this movie already. And then you get to the fact that the movie wasn't necessarily greatly reviewed, whether it be in China or in the U.S. It was kind of a tornado of destruction for Disney in terms of profitability, because they needed China to be behind this movie. And it sounds like the majority of the population was not.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think those two things sort of scare off a lot of the big tentpoles that were supposed to be out the rest of the year. We'll start off with, in terms of chronology, Black Widow was backed out of 2020 entirely. They're back to 2021. So think about this. This is weird. It's the first time since 2009 there's no MCU movie in a theater for an entire calendar year, which I think, as a whole, if you're a Marvel fan, I think it's good, because I think after the Endgame kick, I think it's good to have the whole sort of refresh mentally, because I think it gives you a little bit of time to process that and get ready for the next thing that's coming, as opposed to like being rushed into like another 4 movies.
Yeah, I'm curious if this will expedite the comic book tiredness because of just the large gap. People will forget about the excitement of it, or if it will act like a hunger, because people haven't had it for so long. It's like they haven't had their comic book snacks, so now they're going to just gorge on a full meal in 2021 when a ton of the different comic book movies come out. I think it's going to be more the latter, because right now, like you said before, people want to shut their brains off, and comic book movies are perfect for that. Yeah. So I think it's going to really make people excited again. While I'm not necessarily the most hyped about it, whether it be Marvel, DC, or whatever, I do think that in the long run it's going to really elongate the interest in these type of movies.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a help and all. There's 4 of them supposed to come out next year as they try and get back on their calendar. I think they had Black Widow, I think Eternal, Shang-Chi are coming out. Spider-Man 3, the last one of the Tom Holland trilogy, supposed to come out at the end of 2021. Some news broke on that Jamie Foxx is going to be back as Electro, and oh boy, I'm not thrilled about that one after his performance in that role in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, I don't give a flying crap about Electro or Jamie Foxx or his character. That is not a good movie. He's not a good bad guy. He's not a good character. I don't get this. I think they're doing it for the name of Jamie Foxx, which is fine. It'll get people in the seats as long as they're allowed to go into the seats of movie theaters. And Jamie Foxx is a capable actor. He's acted in a lot of really good movies, but I wish he'd do more Django Unchained rather than Electro. So I don't know. I also would anticipate this movie getting pushed back to 2022 because as much as people are going to love comic book movies, I think the Marvel industry and its enterprise will realize, hey, we can't really overload it, if you will. Let's kind of space this out, and they might make that a March or April 2022 venture. But I'm not excited about this movie. Or him being in this movie, I should say. I just made me less interested.
All right, now here's my counter to you. There's a theory I've seen floating around on the internet, so I want to know what you think about this. Obviously, we know he's in a different Spider-Man universe. And we know that Marvel's starting to play with the multiverse. As we know, Doctor Strange could be in a multiverse of madness, that movie. What if this is somehow a live-action version of Into the Spider-Verse, which you have said is the best Spider-Man movie ever made?
Why do you need a live-action version? Let the animated version live by itself. It's the best comic movie to come out in years. Why do we need to ruin it with a live-action version?
Because Marvel sees the reception there and says ka-ching, 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 where you can also get the Garfield audience and the Tobey Maguire audience in, too.
I really hope they don't do that. I mean, I haven't seen that rumor. I mean, the multiverse is going to happen. I'm really curious about how Marvel is going to make it work. But I hope that's not the case because I don't think Electro is really the magnetic pull of him being the fulcrum for the multiverse and being like, oh, look, he's in two different movie universes. I don't think fans are going to be clamoring for Jamie Foxx to be that guy.
Yeah, you could make that point. I also think the multiverse, I think it's something they want to open because that gives them the route of like, hey, if we ever want to have Robert Downey Jr. again, we just pull Tony Stark out of another universe and we have Tony Stark back in movies. I think that's just something they want to open.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing that also with the new TV show WandaVision coming out. The new preview came out at the Emmys, and the different versions of the different characters and the different environments are going to be able to make money off that, play off that. So it's going to happen. But again, I hope they don't bring back the tentpole characters. I hope they keep expanding into the new stuff. And the one thing about the multiverse, Mike, that I will admit to being very excited about is if it connects somehow to a new revigorated X-Men. If that's the case, I'm all for it, and I love it. Because I love the X-Men more than the Marvel superheroes. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the X-Men are going to wait another 3 years, 4 years before they even attempt to kind of restart that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Fantastic Four will be back first. I'm convinced of that. And I do think the WandaVision I'm intrigued. That's the only Marvel product we're getting this year. It's going to be on Disney Plus, I think, in December. So I'm intrigued to see how that plays.
Yeah, and I think also with Black Widow being delayed, they had to delay Falcon and Winter Soldier because I think that show connects to Black Widow from what I read on the internet. So I'm not sure that if Marvel wanted WandaVision to be the first show coming out on Disney Plus, that from people I've talked to and me personally, that's the show that I'm least interested in of the ones that are coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think that one is also production issues they had with COVID. They couldn't finish filming it on time either. So I think they had to go back to Europe and finish filming it. So I think that's why they also had to delay it.
That the COVID has delayed a lot of things. So I mean, we'll see what happens with it. But I think we both agree that Marvel in the long run is going to benefit from this short list break. It's like a reset. And they're going to come out with the second half of Marvel movies and whatever phases they have, and people are going to be excited for it.
Yes, indeed. And I think the big blow for the theater industry this year was the move of the Bond movie, No Time to Die. That got pushed back over the weekend. Now it's going back into April of 2021. So I think that's the death blow for the movies this year because, I mean, there's nothing really on the calendar still. I think it's going to stay there. I think everything else is going to go back in 2021 after that.
I think in terms of like the both international and domestic box office, the James Bond move is really hurtful as well as on the Marvel movies moving. I think there's also a death blow for anyone wanting to see Daniel Craig continue the role. There's absolutely no shot, and it's going to be such a huge time difference between when this movie was filmed and then when it's going to come out. How are they going to remind people what happened in the previous Daniel Craig James Bond movies to get them into No Time to Die? Because there is a little bit of continuity that goes between all the stories and Daniel Craig's James Bond character. It's going to be really hard to get the audience as excited as it would have been this summer, this year, because people already amped up for it, but now you got to wait a whole nother year. Not everyone's going to be like me and want to rewatch all the Daniel Craig James Bond movies again for a third time to get ready come 2021.
Yes, that's definitely true. And I mean, I've looked at the calendar. There's really like nothing there. I mean, like there's two, I think from Paramount, like Wonder Woman 1984, I think is going to get off of Christmas soon. I think Dune will get off of the early December slot too. I mean, if you have a big budget blockbuster, especially when you have like case starting to go up again, like I don't see how you're going to be risking that to basically hope you break even internationally. I don't think it's a strong strategy for those studios.
No, the only movie that I will drive more than an hour to see in theaters this year will be Dune. I am so excited for Dune, beyond excited. That's the only movie that I will drive an inordinate amount of time to go and see. And I hope that kind of comes out like the last week of December, and it's like, hey, here's an exciting new thing. We're going to turn the calendar onto a new year, some optimism for the new year, because God knows no year can be worse than 2020. And then also a new year for the movie industry with kind of Dune being that little prologue to a great kind of redemption story in 2021. That is my fantasy world, optimistic point of view. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's be real, it's probably not, but that's what I wish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dune's the only one I could see. Maybe they put it back in the Wonder Woman Christmas slot and then push Wonder Woman into next summer. That would be my guess on that. But, like, I think they're all going out. I think this is going to be very hard for the movie theater to stay open just on basically Tenet. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, movie theaters are going to be really tricky. And here's what I think is going to happen with movie theaters, Mike, is I think they're going to be a lot like going to the golf course. Now, give me a second to explain this. When you go to a golf course, you can go to a public one where you can pay $20, you get the cart, you go out there and you play. You know it's not the greatest course, but you're outside, you're still playing, you're enjoying it, but you know it's not the best experience in the world, right? Or you can go to a golf course where you pay an inordinate amount of money, but it's a ridiculously nice course. You get all the amenities. It's top-notch. It is out-of-this-world good experience, whether you play well or not. I think that's kind of what's going to happen in the movie theater industry, where you're going to have like the low level where everyone goes, you understand it's not going to be top-notch, or you can have the really high level where you know you're going to get top dog, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny. I think the middle road of like the traditional Regal, Lowe's, bow tie cinemas is it's gonna have a really hard time surviving that middle ground.
Yeah, because like obviously the high end you talk about is like your Alamo Draft Houses or like your AMC theaters. You have like the recliners and the dine-in stuff, like make it a true experience, opposed to, or like the cheap matinee. You get your tickets for like $5 is not the easiest thing in the world. Not the idea of the $14-15 movie ticket is not going to last as long in this world, especially where the entertainment dollar competition is very tight.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be either, hey, you pay $10 and you're going to get a C average production where the seats might not recline, the screen might not be lined up to the projector right, the lighting might be a little off, the sound may not match up, or you pay the $40 and you go to a ridiculously great theater, you get the recline, you get some food, and it's just going to cost you more. I really think that's what we're going for. I don't like it, but I think that's what's going to happen.
I think that's also an interesting parallel for sports, too. I think sports have a similar problem where they're going to have to cut their prices to get people back in the building once fans are allowed.
Yeah, but if you cut the prices, then you're not going to be able to spend as much on the amenities and the stuff like that. I think it's going to be a tough thing for people to realize and a tough thing for people to adjust to, but I think it's going to be the reality. I don't know it for sure. I'm not a business person. I don't know, but that's just the thoughts running through my head.
Yeah, I think also the thing that's interesting here with all of this, with all these movies that did not come out in the theater format this year, what do you think happens with the Oscars next year? Because like they basically had 3 months of normal movies and then basically Netflix releases, Tenet, and a couple of other like here or there.
Yeah, I mean they extended the months in terms of like movies that can qualify for another 2 months. I think this year there's a chance that the movie industry, the Oscars, will like honor the indie darlings that go to like the local film festivals that have like the live streaming events where you can rent it for 48 hours and you have to watch it in a certain amount of time. That's what I would like to see happen because I want to know what movies are coming out that not everyone's hearing about that I need to go out and search for. But what I think is going to happen with the Oscars, I think that they're going to really hammer home the biggest, most popular movies, just get people to watch the show and to remind people that movies are still happening and that they still have a cultural impact. So I think what we've seen in terms of like the little indie darling Parasite becoming an international success like last year, I don't think there's any shot for that this year.
So you think Tenet might actually get some award play?
I think it'll get some award play. I'm sure it'll get special effects. Let's be real. I'm sure it'll get some audio mixing and stuff like that because, listen, I haven't seen the movie, but visually what I've heard, it's stunning. Audio, I've heard it's spectacular. I get. It's going to get some award play. But it's also going to be one of the few big box office, big budget movies that comes out that the majority of people have seen. So I think they have to put it in there.
Yeah, that's true. And for as bad as 2020 has been for the movies, 2021, assuming we get a vaccine, and right now the timetable basically would have it that if it gets approved in November or December, by the end of March, April, getting distributed to most of the population. By next summer, you could have a very loaded summer movie season. That could be a lot of fun if you like the movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of good movies. I think there's a ton of good movies coming out next year. There's movies I'm excited for. Some of them indie darlings, some of them big. There are some big budget movies I'm actually excited to see. For instance, one I'm super excited to see the new Top Gun, which is coming out next summer. I'm very excited to see Uncharted with Tom Holland coming out next summer if that doesn't get delayed again. But then there's some indie darlings next year I'm really excited for, like Antlers. I'm super stoked for. The Last Duel I'm really excited for. And at the end of next year, we got Halloween Kills. We got Batman. We got Mission Impossible. We got Eternals. That's closing out 2021. Just some of the movies that are franchise tentpoles that everyone knows the name. So I think 2021, as long as things kind of go with the slow pace of everything heading toward that year, there's a shot there's going to be a lot of trips to the movies.
Yeah, my thing is for me, it's once I get a vaccine, I feel good about it, and I get told, okay, I'm safe to go. I'd be going to movies again. It's just a matter of right now, it's I'm not taking the rolling the dice on just Tenet. I can wait for Tenet.
Exactly. I'm very much with you. And I want these movies to come to streaming services so I can watch them. I can't pay $20 for a rental. I can't pay $30 to watch Mulan early. I have no desire to do that. So we just gotta wait. We gotta be patient, and we gotta fill our time with Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max. There's a ton of streaming services now. There's no excuse to not be watching movies. You just have to adjust what you're watching.
Yeah, indeed. You adjusted what you're watching. I know you've watched a lot of movies the last couple months, rewatching things as well for your new little project here, where you're basically going back and re-rating movies and certain things. What are some of the ones you've been really caught by so far?
So the big project that I accomplished recently is I updated the social media website Letterboxd, which is basically a movie database. And I put all the movies from my Excel sheet onto this website. So they're all there. And the thing with this website that I love, Mike, is that it tracks rewatches. So if I just rewatched Silent Hill. I watched it back when I was in high school. And I was like, all right, this movie definitely has changed. Or maybe my opinion of it has changed. So I was able to mark it down the date. I rewatched it. And then it logged my date from back when I watched it in high school, my initial rating, and then the new rating from the other day. So I found a new invigoration in rewatching movies, which has been really exciting because I think that I was maybe averse to watch movies because I couldn't add them to the list, but this new website gives me that chance.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I look at some. You show me some of the ones you've been rewatching. You mentioned Bond before. Going back to Casino Royale must have been interesting.
Casino Royale, I have grown this take, and I now am ready to stand by. I think Casino Royale is a better movie than Skyfall. I think it is the best Daniel Craig James Bond movie. I love Skyfall. I still love Skyfall. But Casino Royale, that movie, it's different. It's so different from every other James Bond movie in all the best ways. It has incredible writing and acting. Casino Royale is in my top 3 Bonds of all time. It's now my number 1 Daniel Craig Bond.
Wow, that's impressive, because I know when Skyfall came out, everybody's talking about, Skyfall's different, Skyfall's amazing, Skyfall's the best Bond ever, and you're saying no, Casino Royale's better.
I think Casino Royale is better. And Skyfall is great. Do not get me wrong. It's still easily top 5 Bond for me, maybe top 3. But Casino Royale, it's different. It really hits different. The writing is so good. And they set the tone immediately with the parkour scene. It's all different, Mike. And I encourage anyone to go rewatch it.
Yeah, it's definitely one I will plan to rewatch. I also noticed you've been on a bit of a Batman kick, not necessarily like the mainstay movies, a lot of like the animated, like sort of like feature length.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Batman Day was a couple weeks ago, I think, and HBO Max sent out an email that, hey, it's Batman Day. Rewatch the Batman movies. I'll be honest, Batman's one of my favorite comic book characters. I've watched almost every movie he's ever been in, so I went on a path to rewatch all the animated movies that I could, because I think when I first watched them, I was very harsh in grading them, because like the idea of an adult animation movie maybe didn't register well in my head. And now some of them, I improved the grade on my rewatch. Some of them, they still stood out as being not that great. But I think there's an appreciation for them. And what I've learned, especially with the animated versions of Batman, is that the more the story's about Bruce Wayne and less about the Batman character, I think the movie's better. So, for instance, like Batman The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1, is one of the best Batman movies I've ever seen, whether it be real life or whether it be animated. So that's kind of what I've learned in going to rewatch these old Batman movies.
Yeah, I definitely could agree with that take. I mean, I felt like for a while, like the best, like the one of the more intriguing Batman movies I'd seen was like actually the Lego Batman movie. I felt they had a fun take on the character of Batman and like his story on supposed sometimes they feel they make him way too brooding, and I feel like that one had a little heart. I think that also helped out.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. The only Lego movie I didn't like was the Ninjas one.
Yeah,
that was the only one I was genuinely bad.
Yeah, for sure. And are you excited for the new Batman, the one that they're doing with Robert Pattinson?
That trailer. Oof, I had goosebumps. That is a great trailer, and in fact, they put that trailer together with only 30% of the movie filmed. Makes me even more excited. It is dark, it is brooding, and I love it. But it's not like a comic book brooding like Zack Snyder. It's a different type of brooding. So I am excited. When he turns around and says, "I am vengeance," I mean, like, I paused it and I was like, goosebumps. So I'm very, very excited for it. I'm very confused why Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne makes me a little goth. But listen, I'm into it. The movie looks kind of have that vibe, so I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, we could use a different take on Batman, because I think most people agree that Batfleck did not work. So I think Pattinson's Batman could be interesting.
You know what? I somewhat disagree. I think Ben Affleck was fine as Batman. I really don't mind him. I thought he was fine. I think he is a better Batman than Henry Cavill is a Superman.
Yeah, that I agree with. I think Superman has not been a great job out of Cavill here. I know they talk about recasting him potentially, so that's something I wouldn't be shocked happens.
Henry Cavill is funny. He's witty. He has that sense of humor and timing, and the Superman character doesn't allow him to do that. It takes away his charisma. His only charisma in Superman is big muscles. Like, no, let the man talk. He's got a good smile. I don't love the Henry Cavill Superman.
I will say that I'm going down the movie queue. I did get to Shazam. I will say they nailed that casting. Zachary Levi was great.
It was great. Who cares how weird his suit looks now? Buffy is. It was a great movie. I laughed. It was good.
Yeah. Like that was one of the funniest DC movies I've ever seen too. Because like I was dying laughing most of that movie, and like that did a very good job with that character.
I think it's by far the funniest DC movie. I'm not sure if there's like another option.
Yeah, I was excited. I came in with low expectations. Like, okay, it's a Shazam, like it's whatever. And I'm like, I actually really enjoyed it. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, listen, I'm excited for the sequel now. Like he's going to match up with Black Adam eventually, I believe, like Rock. So, I mean, you got the charisma of The Rock, you got the charisma of the same character in that first movie. Hopefully they meld those two things together whenever Black Adam, if it comes out in 2021.
Yeah.
So, I like Shazam.
Yeah, and they did a good job nailing all the child actors. They all were pretty good.
Yeah, and again, the movie, it didn't take itself too seriously, and it played to that well. So, and the ending, I really didn't see coming. The ending genuinely surprised me. And I didn't watch Shazam right away either. I wasn't spoiled to it, thankfully. But, like, the ending, like, genuinely, like, them all getting, like, souped up. And I was like, oh, crap. I didn't know this was actually going to happen.
Yeah.
So it surprised me.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did surprise me. I'm supposed to be getting, I think, Aquaman soon. So I'm intrigued. I know that I've heard that was much better than his depiction in Justice League was.
Yeah, Aquaman, I don't consider it a phenomenal movie, but again, I think it knew what it was. Much like Shazam, I just don't think it's as good as Shazam, but I reviewed it much better than Justice League, Suicide Squad, or Man of Steel.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you always do this on the podcast. I want to talk about what you're streaming because I know we're gonna talk about the Mandalorian down the line, but like, what are some things you've been streaming in the past couple months?
Let's see. The movies that have stuck out have been. I finally watched Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I think that came out in 2012, and I don't know how I hadn't seen this movie earlier. It was incredibly sad and incredibly moving. The Devil All the Time. There's a recent movie that came out on Netflix with Tom Holland, a great cast, which was a really dark, slow burn, but very, very good. The best documentary I've seen recently was Class Action Park, which came out on HBO Max, which was very funny and enlightening to the fact of how reckless it was in the 80s when the park was open. And then in terms of TV shows, Mike, there's a show that is one of the most invigorating shows I've seen in this year, for sure, maybe years. It is the docuseries on HBO, The Vow. Have you heard of The Vow?
I've heard of it. I've not got a chance to check it out.
The Vow is crazy, Mike. It is bonkers. It's a alleged sex cult with this crazy leader, Keith Richards, up in Albany. It is bonkers. Like, I went into this going, all right, I like cult stuff. I like a docuseries. HBO does good. And then immediately 2 episodes in, I'm going, this is incredible. I texted my girlfriend. She's watching it now with her mom every single week. I'm trying to get as many people watching The Vow as possible because it is one of the best docuseries I've seen since, like, The Jinx. It is remarkable.
Oh, wow. That's definitely better than I was expecting, so I'll definitely give that a look. I mean, I have some stuff coming up here I want to keep an eye on. No, also, for sure, I mentioned this with Sandra Rosa a couple weeks ago. She wanted me to ask you because I know you're must be excited The Bachelorette's coming back.
Yes, The Bachelorette coming back. You betcha. Listen, the cast came out the other day, and me and my girlfriend, we went through. She's new to The Bachelorette and The Bachelor universe. I am easing her into it. So we went through all the candidates for Claire and for Tayshia, if you will. So we ranked them, and we went through their bios and stuff like that. So we got a general vibe of what's going to happen in the season. So there's going to be drama when Tayshia comes in, and when Claire leaves, we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm very excited to have some perfect, mind-numbing Monday night television. I am so excited to turn my brain off and just yell at the TV.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. Like, I think, like, I'm not a big Bachelor guy. I mean, Bachelorette guy. Like, I've been binging all the game shows. I'm always a game show junkie. So, like, right now, I feel like I'm in Nirvana with it's like a game show on every night somewhere. There is a game show on every night.
There is for sure. Actually, this actually came up. I was talking with the other day. The game shows I'm watching now are British TV game shows.
Yeah, like, which ones are you watching?
So I'm watching. There's 8 out of 10 Cats Countdown. Which I love. There's a regular countdown, which I love. There's Would I Lie to You, is I believe the name of another one. They're like these British TV shows where it's like there's a premise and like you guess the words or like you tell a story, but it's really just comedians on a stage together. They banter for 45 minutes, half hour with a host, and then there's some sort of scoring system which no one really pays attention to, and it's just hilarious. I wish all American TV was unedited like British TV, so they let comedians go off on these crazy little tangents. It's phenomenal. So those are the things I'm falling asleep to at night.
Yeah, I've been more on the American game shows of late. I mean, like I've been watching like ABC. Like I watched these in the summer. Now they put them on like to just buy time till the scripted stuff comes back. So I've checked out some of those. I'm excited. I think for their Sunday night block coming up where they have like Millionaire with Kimmel. They have the Supermarket Sweep reboot. I think they have like Card Sharks coming back on Sunday nights. That's going to be fun.
Everyone's telling me to watch Supermarket Sweep. The old version that I think on Netflix, and then the new version. I'm just like,
you gotta check it out. I mean, as of right now, this is not officially announced yet, but when the premiere comes out, I think Sam DeRose and I are recapping it on the podcast that week. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
That's all for you. You guys can all watch it. Oh, I should also tell you, I can start streaming stuff. I'm streaming Avatar.
Yeah, how far into it are you?
I am on book 2, about halfway through.
Oh, so you're getting to like the Boss Sing Say arc.
I think so. I just had the Tuco alone episode, and Toph is now part of the gang.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's good. It's good. I think my girlfriend like loves it. She's all about it. I think there are some episodes where I'm just like that wasn't very good, but like The Blind Bandit was an incredible episode of television, regardless if it's a Nickelodeon TV show. It was amazing. So the show as a whole, though, I am very much enjoying it.
Yeah, Zuko alone was one of the most underrated episodes of that show. It gave that character a whole new dimension.
I mean, that whole entire episode was based off of just every single Western movie of all time. Like, Pale Rider comes in with the name, takes down the honchos, is taken in by the town, and then has to defend the town even though he doesn't want to, and then finds his true self, and then rides off into the sun to hopefully fulfill his destiny. That is every single classic American Western tale, and they told it in that episode.
Yeah, in terms of stuff I'm streaming too, I mean, obviously, I'm looking forward to Haunting of Bly Manor in a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to the Return of the Unsolved Mysteries Part 2. I think one thing I actually did get into Peacock. I did check out I think it's a British show called Departure. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not. I have not dabbled in it, but I've had a couple of people watch AP Bio on Peacock.
Yeah, the new season AP Bio is there. Departure basically is this British show. It's basically like a conspiracy show about like a plane crash that happens, and they're investigating the crash, and then it's like a whole conspiracy angle about who brought the plane down and why. There's one survivor. I can't tell if it's good or bad, but it's like got me intrigued, so I'm along for the ride at this point. I do think it's an interesting watch.
Hey, listen, if you're along for the ride, that's all that matters. But yeah, the Haunting of Bly Manor, super excited for that. You know, I need my scary movie fix in October. So that's gonna be a great TV show to watch. And yeah, I'm with you there for sure. And The Mandalorian is coming out on October 30th.
Yes, we're going to do a lot of Mandalorian. I think we're going to go episode by episode on that. Hopefully I'm going to get you on. Hopefully around the premiere. We'll see how the schedule works out. But the trailer dropped. I came back. I'm like, boy, I'm not ready for this yet. This just looks so good.
Yeah, the trailer dropped. It kind of hit the vibe that everyone liked. It had the comedic timing of Baby Yoda closing his hat, which I think even made my mom chuckle. And it had, for me, I was very excited at the end. They had the little sting of the music, the classic music at the end too. So it's still going to have that Western vibe. But the thing that really stood out in the trailer for me, Mike, is they had Mando on a boat, which I don't remember seeing a lot of in the Star Wars universe, which is another kind of thing of just the Mandalorian taking that extra step and expanding the universe on like an old trading boat, like an old fishing boat. So I'm excited to see what that kind of thing is going to be. But the trailer got me hyped. I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about it. I mean, like, apart from, like, Attack of the Clones, I can't really think of, like, a water planet, but, like, being involved in Star Wars, let alone just an actual ocean scene.
No, and I think maybe in Skywalker, Daisy, like, take the boat into, like, the Death Star area, like, to go get whatever that movie did. I don't remember exactly. But, like, it's like there are some scenes here and there, but that seems like it's like the setting for an episode on that boat, which I would really like if they did like a bubble episode of like isolated on the water. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I like what they did last year, where they basically had him just traveling on episode here, episode there. It sounds like they're going to do the same style, which I like, and I'm intrigued because reportedly they're bringing in some characters from Star Wars lore. Like I think like Ahsoka Tano. I know I'm probably butchering the name, but like. She's supposed to be coming in a live-action version. There's rumors Boba Fett might pop up. I think intrigued to see how they handle all these things.
But the only thing is, don't make it obvious. Don't make that the stamp of the episode. Make it subtle. Have them only come in for like 4 or 5 minutes, like to set the table. Don't center a whole episode around it. Like, let the Mandalorian, let Baby Yoda, let the characters from the original show still carry the weight of the story, the weight of the episode. That's all I ask. You can give give the fans what they want, a little bit of a taste, but don't overload it.
Hey, I trust them. Favreau knows what he's doing. I trust them a lot more than like people like taking the movies right now.
I agree with you. What I have earned their trust. I'm just expressing my concern, but that doesn't mean I think it's going to happen. But I'm just expressing my concern.
Yeah, it's fair to put that concern out there. John, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can people follow you on social media? Keep up what you're doing over at Stanko Stance.
Yeah, you can follow me on social media at jstanko99 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You just search my name. Yeah, I mean, watch a ton of movies. You can also follow me on Letterboxd. There's a new plug for you, Mike. On Letterboxd, just search jstanko99 there too.
All right, that sounds good. Thanks again, John.
Thank you, Mike.